Are you out there? Are you tuning in? Are you tuned in yet? Can you tune in? Can you tune in? Broadsword to Danny Boy. Broadsword to Danny Boy. Come in, Danny Boy. Broadsword to Danny Boy. Come in, Danny Boy. Quick. Come on. Get in the foxhole. Get in the foxhole. Come on. Come on. Join me. Get in the foxhole. Come on, get in the foxhole. We lost the transmission. I found the problem to all this. You know, somewhere there's a cord unplugged. And as long as the cord's unplugged, we don't have the transmission. So we need to take the plug and we need to put the plug back in. I mean, this is what we need to do. Somewhere in all our lives, there's a cord unplugged. And unless we get it plugged back in, we're going to miss the big transmission. We're going to miss the show. Broadsword to Danny Boy. Broadsword to Danny Boy. Come in, Danny Boy. Broadsword to Danny Boy. Come in, come in, come in, come in, come in. Ah, there we are. There we are. I'm almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. Ah, there we are. Finally, we're tuned in. Sometimes it takes a lot to tune in. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight and joining me in the foxhole. See, to get off the beach that we're on, there's only two ways to do it. You either dig a foxhole or you dig a grave. And you know, I want to encourage people to join me in a foxhole, a temporary shelter. And this tonight is a temporary shelter. But we all have our temporary shelters that we go to in times of trouble. And right now we have to look for our temporary shelters instead of our graves. So we can't stop. We got to keep on going on. We got to get up that hill because we don't leave this beach. Life's a beach, and we don't leave it unless we dig our foxholes to protect ourselves. And we take friends along with us to these foxhole type of things. And we take our precious possessions with us to these foxholes. And yes, we take our books, sometimes our Bibles, and we go and we stay in our foxholes for a while. This is Puddin'head Press Live, and I want to thank you for joining me in the foxhole tonight. Whether you're joining me from your Zambezi in Zion, or whether you're joining me from a ship at sea, or whether you're joining me from your squad car, hopefully we have my friend watching us from the star car, but I don't know. I have one guest tonight. I have a guest named Sid Yiddish, who's going to be on a little bit later tonight. We're going to have him on for about 25 after or so. I had a little slow start because the war's going on, so I got to clean up this office for 3 hours later on. But we have Zoom tonight. I'm going to have to do some little adjustments for it because I didn't intend to have Zoom, but it's just a whole Facebook kind of doing weird stuff. And I might have to do some sound adjustment as we're going on, but I want to thank everybody for joining. And there's some stuff going on the Chicago poetry scene. I'm Dave Getchick. This is Puddin'head Press Live. We're going to have Sid Yiddish on a little bit later tonight, and I'm going to put that piece of paper here in real Ray Rayner style. And let's see, I got Vito Carli sent me a message that Vito Carli is a Chicago poet who's done a lot of different venues over the years, and I joked with Vito, it was only half a joke, that his venues only last 2 years, and Intersect Coffee, Vito's last poetry venue that he had, is closing. So Intersect Coffee in Pilsen is going to be closing, which is a sad thing because it was a pretty good coffee house. So hopefully Vito will get another venue somewhere. But there was also some things went on this weekend. On Saturday, October 24th, they had a presentation of the Poet Laureate of Rockford. And they came on and they talked about all the great stuff that's happening in Rockford. Rockford is a town northwest, mostly west of Chicago, that had a great, vibrant literary scene in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And it kind of died off for a while, and it's been coming back like the last 5 years or so. But now, it's going down a little bit. And right now, they decided to have their first poet laureate. They did some presentations. They called up they announced the first youth poet laureate of Rockford. And the first youth poet laureate of Rockford is Jocelyn Kuntz. And she's planning on using her bully pulpit to spread the news of poetry in Rockford to the youth. And then they had a presentation of the adult poet laureates. And it was a pretty stiff competition. Christopher Sims, who I've met several times, we read together at the Mozart Center, the Beethoven Center in Rockford a couple times, and then we read at another time. And Christopher Sims is a well-known Rockford poet, and has been really, really active in the high school and with the youth. And there was also Thomas Valtenberg. He's a poet. I don't know if he's from Rockford now, but I think he was originally from Byron, where the nuclear power plant is. And he works a lot with disabled people. So there were two really good poets there was three poets up to it, but those were two really good poets. I was really impressed by Thomas Valtenberg, even though I don't know him. He had a really good, impressive poem that he read there. And I'd like to meet the guy one of these days. Maybe I'll have him on the show. Anyways, and the third poet was Christine Swanberg. And Christine Swanberg was published by Puddin'head Press. We published 2 books by her. We published a book called The Alleluia Tree. I should have copies of it here to show people. I should get a hold of Nanny Boy. And I also published Wild Fruition by her. And Christine Swanberg won the Poet Laureate of Rockford. So I'm kind of proud of her, and I hope that she enjoys her tenure as the Poet Laureate. And I want to give a good toast right now to all of you for watching. And I want to give a toast right now to Christine Swanberg. This is Christine Swanberg, the new and the first Poet Laureate of Rockford, Illinois. And I hope that there's many more laurels in your future. So congratulations, Christine. And I also want to congratulate Christopher Sims and Thomas Voltenberg for their dedication to the city of Rockford. Especially Christopher Sims. He's all over the place in Rockford. And I thought about it. It's like I thought about it and trying to decide who really deserves this thing. But Christine was part of that poetry renaissance that was going on in Rockford in the 1970s. And she also wrote a book called Tonight on This Late Road that I bought from Left Bank Bookstall in Oak Park. There's a new episode of Jeff Helgeson's Great Books playlist with Heirloom Books. He did an episode called The Truths Behind Classical Mythology. Heirloom Books is a bookstore on the north side of Chicago in Rogers Park, and Jeff does broadcasts from there. It goes on their YouTube channel, and it's also on their Facebook channel. And since we're on Facebook, you could go find Heirloom Books, and you could go see Jeff's presentation. Okay, there's two places that I'll tell you about a little bit later. On Sunday, November 1st, I'm jumping around here too because I screwed up all my notes here. On Sunday, November 1st, Poetic License with Janet Kuipers is going on. It's a 2-hour Zoom meeting that she does, and they go around multiple rounds. It's going to be this Sunday, November 1st, Poetic License with Janet Kuipers, and it goes from 3:30 to 5:30. I joined it a couple times, and it's a really nice reading because you get poets from all over the city. Last Saturday, on the 24th, Whitney Scott had a Tallgrass open mic from 10 to 4 from the Chicago Public Library on the north side. And you have to contact Whitney Scott with Tallgrass Writers to get a link to it because it's a Zoom reading, but it's a really cool reading. And her next one is going to be November 28th. I don't know who the feature is going to be. There's an open mic that I hope is still going on at the Cajun Boil and Bar. It's every Wednesday at 7 p.m. at 1109 South Boulevard in Oak Park, and it's a spoken word reading and poet friendly, and it's open mic that you could actually go to. There's another open mic called Words with Poets that is down by Cal City at Rinky's Bar, 1207 Sibley Boulevard. And the next one of those is going to be November 3rd and November 17th at 9 p.m. There's a $5 or $10 cover depending on whether you want to read or not. Susanna Lang. Susanna Lang is going to be doing a reading. And this is a reading in conjunction with City Lit Books. City Lit Books is in the Logan Square neighborhood of Chicago, and City Lit Books is going to be closing. So I think this is going to be one of their I think this is going to be the final reading that they're going to have. But I want to try to put a link right now on the Facebook chat box of Susanna Lang's reading. This is a new feature I'm trying to do, and we'll see how it works. Hey, there's Susanna Lang at City Lit Books coming up. That's going to be on Friday, October 30th at 6:30. So it's going to be it's going to be online, okay? Because they still don't have the store. The store is not going to be back open physically. So, but they're going to have it online, and you could go to their thing, and you go to their website and Facebook page and find some information about On Saturday, November 21st, I know that's kind of far ahead, Billy Tuggle's going to be reading, is in an anthology where they had poets from all over the country, and Billy Tuggle's going to be in an anthology called Escape Wheel Number 4. It's from a company called Great Weather from Media. They're going to do a Facebook Live and on Zoom. So that's going to be, Billy Tuggle's going to be in that. So take a look at that, and there's a link on the Facebook comment page about it. What else is going on in the city? The Illinois Arts Council is the Illinois Arts Council. They give away grants and stuff like that. Some grants up to $1,500, and the Arts Fellowship, they're collecting. They're making submissions for that right now. There's a deadline coming up for that, and the deadline is November 2nd. Illinois Arts Council Arts Fellowship deadline. I stole that from Allison Joseph's page, Facebook information. So thank you, Allison Joseph, that little tip. And there's a link for the Illinois Arts Council there if you guys want to apply for. Why do I have 16 written? Why do I have it written backwards on the other side? I don't know. I watched it. I had. Okay, what else is going on in the city? Let's see what my notes here say. We have, last Wednesday, on October 1st, October 21st, I had missed it, but it was a Guild Complex reading that Elizabeth Areno was involved in. And I want to throw up a link right here on the discussion page of the Guild Complex reading that they did. So come on, I can do this. And paste that. There's a link to the Guild Complex reading. So if you go on there, you're going to see, if you go on the chat line on the Facebook event right now, you're going to see all kind of little events and stuff like that. There's a place I want to tell you about. I don't even want to tell you what's going on there, but you should definitely go and visit this Facebook page. This is for Chicago storytellers. They do readings at Fitzgerald's in Berwyn, and I'm not even going to tell you what they do. Go and like Chicago storytellers and take a look at them. It's a good organization to be involved with. And there's also somebody who does lots of stuff that I just want to tell you about. And I'm not going to tell you any links to any events that are going on there, but they're a phenomenal group. And they're a phenomenal place. It's called Compound Yellow. It's in Oak Park. They do art shows, and they recently had Marvin Tate performing there. And they put that's actually live on their Facebook page still. So if you go to Compound Yellow, and if you look at the discussion group, you could get the link right there to Compound Yellow. And Compound Yellow is in Oak Park on Lake Street. And go and take a look at that. Here is a link I'm posting on the chat page for Jeff Helgeson's reading at Heirloom Books. So if you want to see that. And what else is going on? I didn't get a chance to see this, but I'm glad that this went on to a Facebook link. Actually, this went on to a YouTube link, a Zoom YouTube link. Carolyn Johnson did a presentation of the poetry of caregiving at the Batavia Public Library. It was last Wednesday, October 21st, and I haven't watched this. What did I do here? And I want to apologize for everybody for just goofing up everything I was trying to do here. Okay, this was a reading with Carolyn Johnson called The Poetry of Caregiving that she did at the Batavia Library. And that's there. So if you want to take a look at that, it's The Poetry of Caregiving. I'm going to check my notes here, and I think I got through all of that okay. But guess what? I'm Dave Getchick. This is Puddin'head Press Live. We're going to have Sid Yiddish as a guest pretty soon, maybe another, maybe 10 minutes max. And we're going to talk about Sid's career. We're going to talk about difference between poetry and performance art and all kind of stuff like that. So it's going to be lots of fun, and we're going to have a wild time. So keep an eye, so tune in still. But I'm Dave Getchick, and next Saturday is Halloween. And I'm going to be performing, I'm going to be reading some short stories, performing some short stories at the Highland Park Christian Science Reading Room. Next Saturday, I'm going to be live. I might put it onto Facebook Live, but I'll be live next Saturday at the Christian Science Reading Room in Highland Park, and the address is 1774 2nd Avenue. Lynn West is the host. I haven't been there before, but we're going to have, we could get 20-some people in there, and they tell me that the other people are standing outside the door. So first come, first serve for the really good seats. So it's going to be, coming out. Compound Yellow in Oak Park, go visit them. They also had some open mics recently. In 1 year, the long-time running Chicago poetry venue is doing Zoom events now. So find them on Facebook or contact somebody from In 1 Year, and they have really good Zoom readings that they put on, features, and it's almost like being there. And you get to see some really good poets and some significant Chicago poets also. They're not only good, but they do lots of good stuff for Chicago. And I think their next reading, you have to confirm this with them, because their last one was October 21st. Okay, and their next one I wrote down, I think October 28th. Why I wrote down I think, I'm not sure. But that's some of the stuff that's going on in the city right now. Like I said, I'm going to be myself. I encourage everybody to come out and visit me, because I haven't seen anybody. I promise I won't hug you. At the Christian Science Reading Room up in Highland Park from 3 to 5 next Saturday, which is some kind of Halloween holiday. I don't know if I'm going to dress up or not. I don't usually dress up, but anyways. But last Sunday, I had a good experience with a reading too. I want to tell you guys about. It was Wilda Morris is still doing her Brood Awakening reading, and they're doing a live broadcast through Zoom with people reading from the Brood Awakening Coffee House in Westmont. And it was last Sunday, but they do it the last Sunday of every month. Gail Goforts and Marilyn Huntsman-Giese were the features. And Marilyn Huntsman-Giese, I got to find her book, because she does these great kids poetry rhyming poems and stuff, nursery rhymes and stuff like that. And I wish I had Gail Goforts set up, because the sound and the video quality of what she did when she performed was great. She had a poem called "Thank You Body" that was really good, and she had just the quality of what she was doing was fantastic. Anyways, I think that's all the shows that things I have going on right now. Let me double check this little window I have here that I built specially for stuff. Dave Getchick featured, I said it, October 21st at the Christian Science Reading Room. Billy Tuggle, Escape Wheel #4 Anthology. The deadline for the State of Illinois Arts Fellowship. Elizabeth Reno, read last Wednesday. There's a link to it. Chicago Storytellers, like them, they're cool. Compound Yellow, like them, they're cool. The Poetry of Caregiving. I missed it. If you missed it, you could see it again at that little link I put on there. And yes, I want to save, no, I don't want to save the changes I made to that. A little bit about my setup here. I have a speaker right next to the phone. I'm broadcasting this from an iPhone. I got a speaker right next to the iPhone, and on my left, that's my left, yes, my left, I have my Facebook monitoring feed, and on my right, I have my Zoom monitoring feed. Why do I have a Zoom monitoring feed? Aha! I have a Zoom monitoring feed because we're going to have Sid Yiddish here in a couple minutes. But I'm going to take a 15-second break to have a drink of wine. Ah, you know, I had a drink after Christine won I had a can of wine. They put wine in cans now, if you guys didn't know that. I had a can of wine the night that Christine won the Rockford, won or earned the Rockford Poet Laureate. I'm not sure how you really say that. But we talked about some of her experience with that. Her husband sent somebody else to get a bottle of champagne because he can't drive. He got an operation on his foot and he can't drive right now, so he sent somebody out for a bottle of champagne. So Christine calls me up and she was drinking champagne, so I had to open a can of wine. How come they don't have Merlot or Cabernet in cans? All they have is Pinot Noir or white wine. You know, I think that whoever's out there canning wine right now, can you please can a Cabernet or a Merlot, something a little bit lighter than a Pinot Noir? I mean, even a Shiraz would be really good. You know, anyways, that's one of my gripes. That's one of my gripes for this week. Probably my major gripe is the wine problem going on right now. I got another major gripe with hand sanitizers, because everybody was making sanitizers out of isopropyl alcohol, which is a great thing to use to sanitize hands, but isopropyl alcohol got too expensive, so everybody said, ethanol, we're going to change to ethanol. So everybody changed to ethanol, the ethanol prices went up. And then the FDA, our good FDA and USDA, what they did was they decided that the same ethanol that you use in gasoline could be used in hand sanitizers because we're so short on it. So what they did is everybody put their alcohol into the hand sanitizers, and now they smell like booze and like all kind of stuff. And people are dying from drinking the. There's a whole bunch of hand sanitizers now that have methanol in it, and actually the FDA can't pull those from the shelves. And the methanol gets absorbed through your skin a little bit, and methanol is a poison. And several people have died from methanol-infected hand sanitizer. However, they didn't die from putting it on their hands, they died from drinking it. So don't drink your hand sanitizer if it's isopropyl alcohol or ethanol, because it might have some methanol in it. So please, everyone out there, this is a public service announcement. Please, 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 don't drink your hand sanitizer. And keep it away from your kids. Because your kid's either going to get drunk, or if it has methanol in it, some of the people that have died from it are children that accidentally drink the hand sanitizer. So that's my public service announcement, and I'm going to stop being so weird. And in order not to be so weird, I'm going to move some stuff around here. I'm going to move this feed here, okay, and I'm going to move this here. Here's my mouse that I use for Facebook. Here's my mouse that I use for Zoom, and it has a laser on it. And I am going to try to bring on our guest for today. And I have to press some buttons here in order to get them on the screen properly. And I think that is him. No, that is me. I think that's him, and he should be here any second. Come on.
Yeah, hang on here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Don't worry, dude.
I could hear you.
Yes, you can hear me.
I can hear you, and I'm just about to get you to our audience. Come on. Open this up right there. I got you to our audience. Ladies and gentlemen, and whoever else is listening, I want to introduce
boys and girls and moms and dads.
I don't know if boys and girls and moms and dads are listening or not. I want to introduce to everybody Mr. Sid Yiddish. And this blocks part of the camera, so I can't see everything that's going on here. But I'm going to make an adjustment here, and I'm going to pick up.
Okay.
I'm going to make an adjustment so you can see you a little bit better. And I got all this stuff sitting around, and we need to get you back a little bit from the. Oops. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. This is a technical problem, an unforeseen technical problem, and we're going to move you back a little bit. Okay. Now we could see you. I had to make you a little bit further back and a little bit higher. So do you feel higher?
Well, the more you drink, the higher you get.
This is an unusual setup because right now it's difficult for Sid to see me. So you guys could see him, and I hope you could see the Facebook feed from where he's at. But you look pretty good on screen, I think.
I always look good on screen.
Well,
Thank you.
yeah, and you've been on screen a lot. You've been on screen more than your average Chicago poet. You've been a poet, a performance artist. I mean, a true performance artist. I'm beyond the pale of performance poetry. You've gone maybe around the bend and over the top on performance poetry, performance art, and you've also done a lot of acting. You're a world traveler. You're published here and there. You've got lots of CDs and musical stuff. You have a band. Sid Yiddish is this multifaceted, multi-talented, you never know what he's going to do poet. There was an interesting thing when Vito and I interviewed Vito Carli a couple weeks ago, and Vito Carli mentioned that he saw Sid Yiddish in a cage. And that's one of the things that brought us currently to this this feature with Sid tonight. I want to ask him, how often are you in a cage?
Well, that's really been the only time. But if you think about it, technically I'm in a cage every day. But that's just a technicality. But in that case, for that show, we talked about it, myself and the organizer, and he wanted to put me in a cage, and just to raise funds, and I said, okay, we'll do that. That's
Okay.
exactly. So I played checkers for charity in a cage.
Okay. That was way down on the
That's
south
what Vito
side, though.
saw. Yeah, that was in like on 99th. It was right by Oak Lawn.
Okay. 995th, probably, that Oak Lawn goes
At
through.
no, at the Star Bar, actually. It was at the Star Bar.
Oh, okay. Okay, that was in a shopping mall, wasn't it?
Right, it's a little strip. It's like
Yeah.
right, really close to a super Walmart or something like that.
Okay, but you're not a south side. You're are you a native Chicagoan?
Yes, I am. I was born in, if you must know, I was born in Harvey,
Okay.
and we lived in Park Forest for about 4 years, and then we moved north, and I've been north pretty much ever since, except for one time for 9 months in western Indiana.
Okay. But are you a north side, or you were living in Evanston? Were you living in Evanston
still
as a kid?
Well, no, we lived in Niles, Morton Grove, pretty much, and then I've moved around.
So a suburban north sider.
Yeah, suburban north sider.
Where did you go to high school?
Niles West.
Niles West. Okay. That's a pretty decent high school, I think.
When I was going, it was. I mean, it's bigger and better. They've got a new field house. Last time I went past it.
Mm-hmm. Now but you also have you were a journalist for a long while.
Yeah, for about 15 years.
I remember you were writing advertising copy and stuff like that, I think, too.
Yeah, that was the Des Plaines Journal. But you asked me who I wrote for. So in high school, I wrote for my school paper, Westward, and then I would write for my college papers, and then I guess professionally, I wrote for the Star Sentinel out of where were they? Melrose Park, and then my beats were Melrose Park, Maywood, Bellwood. And then, of course, I wrote for the Des Plaines Journal, and I wrote for a lot of little papers in between, especially the Fountain County Neighbor in Attica, Indiana.
Really?
Which was, yeah.
Yeah. That sounds cool.
it was certainly weird for me, but I was there.
I
And then I wrote for like this really positive, happy news kind of paper, and I can't remember the name of them right now. And I did some stuff for the Courier, the Journal Courier out of West Lafayette. I did some stuff for their what they call like their magazine section, which was similar to like say New City or something like
mhm.
that. But that was their supplement.
You were
That was
also
93, 94.
you were also publishing some of the smaller, newspaper kind of things in Chicago, right?
Yeah, yeah. I also wrote for the Chicago Jewish Star
Hmm.
in the early '90s, and yeah, I think I had an article in Tunnel Rat too.
Yeah, I remember I had an article in Tunnel Rat, and I think it was I liked Tunnel Rat a lot.
Yeah, I did
Biederman did a
too.
great job on that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and but there's also is it I want to say U Direct or U Line, something like that. You had some stuff in. Um, what kind of stuff did you report on?
Well, in newspapers, I was doing mostly features, interviews, news, crime, government, government news, anything that really they handed to me, I could do. I wrote a lot of advertorial too for the Des Plaines Journal. Not my favorite kind of thing, but that's what they called it, advertorial.
Did you
Like
like
now
it?
they just, well, journalism, yeah, I did like it back in those days. I don't know if it was as exciting as it is now.
Hmm.
I'd say it's more muckraking now than ever.
Yeah,
Um,
it's probably hard to be a journalist right now.
you know, actually pretty thrilling. It's pretty dangerous to be a journalist right now. I would really, that would be nice to go back into, but it's very competitive as it was then too.
I remember. I don't know if it was the first time I met you, but I think it was the first time that at least we read together. Um, Lee Hitzes decided to rent a field house. Lee Hitzes when he was, I don't know if he was 15 or he just turned 16 at the time.
Yeah,
Um,
there's something like that.
but he rented a field house in Oak Park at Nuremberg Park, I think, in Oak Park. And it was me, Lawrence Tyler, Lee Kitzis, a friend of Lee's, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's this Sid Yiddish. It's like, well, I know I heard of this guy before, and you came in and read, and that was the first time we read together, the first time we ever really talked. However, I had an earlier connection and exchange with Sid Yiddish. Um, and I'm wondering what you were doing at the time. It was basically I ordered a copy through I got the Poets Market, and I was looking to say where do I want to be published, and I got samples of all kinds of magazines, and I ordered a copy of Cops Hate Poetry. Um, where did Cops Hate Poetry come from, and where were you living? What were you doing at the time you were doing Cops Hate Poetry? How many
Well,
issues did you do?
well, I guess technically I did 10, or technically I did 8, depending on how you look at it. Um, I was when I was living at home still when I was publishing it, and throughout the time of its existence, I was using my parents' home address, like most kids would do that, and I eventually got a PO box for it towards the end. But I did. I had a double issue. I had a double issue with 7, 8, and then 9 was 9. And I think I did issue 10, which was the headline was there was a Black Panther on the cover, and it says, "Will Chicago be bombed?" Um, and that was there was like a two-year break between 88 and 91, and that was my last issue.
Okay.
Um, what was I doing? Why did I put it out? Because somebody had rejected my work, is what had happened, I believe. But I did a lot of heavy research when I was at Western Illinois University in '86, right before I left. As they say, I mean, clearly I wasn't doing well in undergrad there, but when I did finally get to the final school where I did graduate from, I'd excelled. But while I was at Western, just so you know, I was covering government beat. That was usually my beat, the government or features, and they sure as heck did not like me there covering government because I was actually doing my work, and I wasn't being bought off by someone. But I did run for student government president at Western as a writing candidate, and I won. I didn't win. I got 19 votes, but I beat out Bill the Cat by about 7.
Well, that's something.
Yeah,
So
it is something.
So you went to Western for a while, and
Yeah.
where did you get your journalism degree from?
Columbia College in Chicago,
Okay.
1990.
Okay, so you came back to Chicago.
Mhm.
I'm posting. I'm doing some Facebook stuff here. I'm posting something, so
Go right ahead.
I mean, it's like how sausage is made, kind of thing. People aren't supposed to see.
Yeah, I
that,
actually
but
do know how I do know how it's made. So
you do. Is it really that icky?
no,
Okay.
no more than most things.
It sounds like sausage is made pretty icky, but so you got a journalism degree from Columbia,
Yeah.
and you actually went back and you got your master's in performance art from Columbia.
No, it's called interdisciplinary arts media technology. They actually closed the program, or they shut that department in 2015, the year I left, the year I graduated or got my degree.
So you closed down the program.
You could say that. I'm definitely a room clearer in that sense. Yes.
Okay. Do you consider yourself a room clearer?
With my band, we are.
Okay.
But or crowd control, depending on how you look at it. But not necessarily. My here in Chicago is Chicago. It's personally I think Chicago is conservative, and because
From an art standpoint, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, people are not so willing to take chances as much as they are in other cities. Perhaps it's acceptable.
Mm-hmm. This is Chicago poet and performance artist and actor and musician Sid Yiddish. I'm Dave Getchick. This is Puddin'head Press Live on Facebook. In case you just showed up, we're talking about things that he has done in his career. I've been bird stepping around a little bit, but I'm going to try to pin him down to some chronological stuff in about 5 or 10 minutes or so.
Do it.
But I want to bird step around a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay, Sid's band is called the Candy Store Henchmen. When did this Candy Store Henchmen form? I mean, was it 10 years ago? Was it 20 years ago?
Well, in my mind, it probably was 58 years ago.
Okay.
But it December 10th, 2010 is the start date, the official start date, which is our first gig at a defunct place now. 1901 Garage over was on Wolcott and Belmont. But technically, the band started as early as the nucleus, or the origin started October 24 of 2010 at WLUW when I was working on a gig there. And somebody told me that I could conduct. And I am, I do my spoken word. And he said it was so easy to do. And he showed me how to do it. And I was like, oh, okay.
There's a bunch of people. There's some people commenting that your band's really fun, and that they've enjoyed it. Now,
Good. Thank you, folks.
Before that you were playing with Furbies too.
Well, yeah, but that was mostly solo work.
Mm-hmm.
I did a couple of pieces with Furbies. They're great. They are absolutely great great instruments, and they're very patient with me. I have about 45 in this studio.
You have 45 Furbies?
Yeah, and I think only 11 or 12 of them work.
Okay.
So the rest are just all guards here, just in case.
Are they still on? Do they still talk to you?
Yeah, they still do talk to me. Some talk to me in the middle of the night. That is no joke.
Okay. Okay. Do you discuss stuff with them all the time? And we've kind of been like isolated a little bit. I talk to my fish sometimes.
They talk to me in the dark sometimes. It's great.
So I remember the Furby band. I remember us discussing the Furby band at Vito Carli's cafe that he did, the Mercury Cafe. And it's the best picture that you and I ever took was that picture at the Mercury Cafe, even though you want to take a new one.
Yes, we do need to take a new one.
But we were much cuter then.
I'm very cute now, and so are you.
I think I was cuter then. I had a little bit more hair then, not a lot.
Well, who's not, everybody's bald, but who's complaining?
Okay. I got rid of my ponytail eventually because that was like getting too much. But
it's okay. During the pandemic, I've grown one. So
there's another thing that is unusual that you do from a performance art poetry standpoint. Why do you go to Denmark? Are you Danish descent?
Well, I'm an honorary citizen now. I was made an honorary citizen the moment I got there. No, there's no Danish descent. What the way I connected up with Clean Boys and my friend Pedro de Palma, who we were pretty close friends. This was back in 2007. He was looking for some music by a guy by the name of Michael Board, Mykel Board. He was Michael's used to be a columnist for Maximum Rock and Roll, and author and haiku writer, all kinds of other things. And he's my adopted Uncle Mickey. And anyway, he was looking for his work because he had a couple bands in the 80s, punk bands called Art and Artless. He couldn't find anything by them, no videos or anything. So he typed in Michael Board, and he found my throat singing video, Michael Board, Weasel Squeezer. And he just started following me after that on MySpace, when we used to be on MySpace. And then a year later, came by. I did Chicago Calling. I think it was the fourth Chicago Calling when Dan Godston used it.
Chicago Calling is a performance event where you have a performer in Chicago performing with a performer from out of the city. Sometimes it's an arts thing going on in one place and poetry going on in the other place. Sometimes it's music and stuff like that. So you did Chicago Calling with somebody in Denmark.
Right. Well, I did it with a band. They've always been a trio. And I said, will you be my backing band? And they said, sure. And the first one was really difficult because the signal kept cutting out. And so we were doing a lot of texting and Skyping and phoning, which is expensive at that time. And they backed me up on my haikus. And then we did it the next year. And then we did it again. And they said, well, you should really come over here and tour. And I said, not until we have a record. And that's exactly what we did. We made a record and called Safari Freak Show Adventure in 2010. It was mixed and produced over there. And then I flew to Denmark.
A record or a CD or a...
Well, it's a CD, but
okay.
I just call it a record because that's what you say. It's just the language.
Because we're throwbacks.
It's a relative term. It's a relative term, Dave.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, we toured for about 3.5 weeks in a camper van. So it was like 3 Danish guys. Sometimes we'd have a couple performance artists folks join us, and that's what it was. That's where everything began, including the mask. You know, the mask that I wear when I'm in costume.
I want to say hi to Dan Weinberg really quick. and hi to Lynn, and hi to everybody else who was on there a little bit earlier. Um, but also, you featured me, and you featured several other Chicago poets at the Skokie Public Library. I remember
Yeah.
finding a flyer of you emceeing there in 1991. Um, so is there any other? So you were the MC and you were setting up readings for the Skokie Public Library. Did you MC and run a poetry venue anywhere else?
Yeah, I actually did from 94 to, I want to say maybe 96 or 97 at Barnes & Noble in Old Orchard where I worked.
Oh, okay. I like the Barnes and Noble in Old Orchard. John Dixon and I did a reading there in '99 or something. Um,
Yeah, they called it an open mic, but I would do features, which would be music and or poetry.
mhm.
The best story I have is there was a uh, we had what I call a corporate suit. She ran the PR there, and
Who
I
do
would
you remember her name? I remember her.
yeah, it was Marianne Deal.
Marianne Deal. Yeah, I remember Marianne
Yeah,
Deal.
yeah. So one night I have a feature there, and of course the feature is Lee Groban,
Mhm.
and
Kathleen says, "Hi Sid, what no Furbies?"
well, they're with the fish hat, Kathleen.
He lost the fish hat today. He lost the Furbies too. Um,
It's I just don't want to look like myself today. It's a pandemic. I can do that.
well,
Anyway,
you're not performing today, so you're Sid Yiddish non-performer today.
I'm Sid Yiddish sitting down having an interview. This
Okay.
is what we're doing, having a conversation. So anyway, so Lee's wearing these really colorful clothes and stuff, right? And she's got this alarm look on her face, and she says, "Who is that homeless man?" I said, "That's not a homeless man. That's Lee Groban."
Lee Groban
She
was
didn't know.
Lee Groban was Chicago performance artist poet. He was mistakenly put in the Guinness Book of World Record for having the longest poem in the world, where it was actually the poet that had the longest movie in the world. I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was shot in the bowels of the ventilation shafts in at University of Illinois, and Lee Groban just read his poetry. Something of Madness. Do you remember what the name of that was?
Mm,
And I also
nope.
there's also
Right, I
another
don't.
there's another thing that's a little bit of a tragedy that and it happens a lot when poets die. Frank Bonomo died, for example. Where is Lee Groban's poetry?
Uh,
Um,
I don't know. It's probably online somewhere in some archive somewhere on archived web pages.
I don't even know if it is. Um,
Well, if you went to archive.org and researched it, you might be able to find something.
you have a lot of stuff in archive.org.
I do. Yeah, those are on my radio shows
Okay. Now,
mostly.
now, you had a radio program from where?
Well, I did a lot of radio actually, even before the stuff on archive.org. When I first started school, I went to Lincoln College in Lincoln, Illinois. I was DJ and news director at WLNX, which was W Links, and then later when I lived in Indiana, I was an announcer for the AM/FM station. It was WBAA, which is W Ba, and it's true. It was a 4-H station originally.
Really?
And,
That's cool.
Yeah, and that was in '94, and I just announced for them, and usually you had to find your voice in between the AM and FM. So the AM you had your regular low voice, your drinking voice, and in the FM you kind of had to have this flowery kind of voice, and
What,
And
what
that's
Wesley Hines just
like,
tuned into the Facebook feed, and he said that the name of the movie was Cure for Insomnia. Was the name of
thank
the
you,
movie.
Mr. Hine.
Um, Wesley Hines is a Chicago musician, poet who performed at the Gallery Cabaret an awfully lot. That's where I remember meeting him and seeing him.
He is no longer in Chicago.
He
He
abandoned
lives in
us,
L.A.
yes.
No, he didn't abandon us. He just went on for greener, silkier pastures.
How could you get greener than Chicago? Everything's new in Chicago.
All you have to do is paint everything.
Okay.
They do that in L.A. They do that in Hollywood. It's easy.
Mm-hmm. So, and you and I share a radio thing in common. We're both big fans of old time radio. In fact, when
Yes.
the virus finally goes away and we take our picture together, I have a whole Jack Benny collection for you.
Can't wait to see that.
But you can't have my shadow records.
I noticed when you dressed up tonight. I thought, oh, wait, there's the Man in Black.
I don't know what I was tonight.
Man in Black was a reference to suspense.
Yep. And this right now we have a I always felt a connection with. Remember when we did The Dark by Kurt Sodomek, that story, and we used the script from. It actually wasn't on Lights Out, but it was an Arch Obler script that we used. It was on Arch Obler's record, and it was a Halloween celebration that we had. Coming up next weekend was the anniversary, probably 5 years ago, where we put on a potpourri, we called it, at the Galway Arms in Chicago on Clark Street, and we did a reenactment of The Dark from Lights Out, and it was really cool because you did the sound effects, and you did a sound effect of a man turning himself inside out, which I thought was impossible to do, but you did amazing. You did amazing sound for that. I have a copy of that. Do you have a copy of that?
I would love to have it.
Okay.
I do not have a copy of it.
Okay, I'll get you a copy of it. I'll get you a copy of it. I should have played it. Okay, I don't have a copy of it. Janet Kuipers has a copy of it because she videotapes everything that she does. And I think it's on Janet Kuipers' YouTube channel. But I'll find it, and I'll find you the link on the YouTube channel, the Janet Kuipers thing. Because Janet Kuipers was the screaming, hysterical woman part in that. And Richard Chedwick, the science fiction writer, was the professor on there, the doctor on that. But where does your love of old time radio come from? I mean,
probably.
Mine came from. I'm sorry. Mine came from listening to the CBS Radio Mystery Theater, which was on at 10:30 at night on WBBM, I believe. I believe it was at 10:30 at night. And that
started at 1974, I think.
1974.
I think.
Well,
Again, that would be on archive.
Since we're in our 30s, it was before we were born. So.
Well, no, I don't think so. But I know what you mean. No, mine came just from imagination and the stories that my parents told me. And then when Chuck Shaden came on
XFM. XFM, wasn't it?
No. It was WL. Shoot. It was on Lee Street in Evanston, which is now WCGO. It was escapes me right now. Anyway, Chuck Shaden started his program. Those were the days there, and then he went over to WFMT and then WNIB, and then eventually moved over to WDCB.
Yep. Which is College of DuPage.
right. Then taken over by Steve Darnell some years later when he decided to quote unquote retire. But I became just fascinated with the imagination of the mind, because that's exactly what you have to do when you listen to radio. It's the greatest medium. It is the greatest medium we have.
Well, Dan Weinberg just said he used to listen to WGN's radio soap operas in the early '60s, but we kind of missed that. But the CBS Radio Mystery Theater. You mentioned Imagination Theater. Was there something called Imagination Theater or something that you watched?
You know, I'm just curious to know, the fellow that just said there were soap operas in the '60s. I'm wondering if he's referring to the actual soap operas that were in the late '20s, because WGN had this very short-lived series that was like a soap opera-ish kind of thing, and I wonder if those were the same things. Hildegard.
Dan Weinberg, if you could tell us what you used to watch on WGN, what listen to in WGN. Hildegard did a show. She was kind of like an early version of a drag queen. She broadcast on WGN 44, 45. I've got one of those shows. I did, so talking about old time radio, I did do on Q4 Network. I did do a program called The Radio Room, where I played old time radio shows, and I did very thematic shows. I did salutes, actually, 1 to WGN and 1 to WLS. Of course, 1 to the Beatles, all on radio, because there's a ton of it out there. And also the JFK assassination when it turned 50 in 2013. I remember that's when I found out that you liked old time radio so much. What are your favorite old time radio stuff?
Well, that's easy. The Shadow from 1937 to 38.
Yep.
I like anything that Orson Welles does. Anything that Orson Welles does. I like yours truly, Johnny Dollar, right now.
That's currently what I listen to mostly. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Right. Rocky Fortune, who first was played by Frank Sinatra before his career kind of took off a second time. Big Town early on, which was Edward G. Robinson had that role in middle 40s, and then he left because he was doing all those little sort of gangster character role kind of films.
And I liked Night Beat. It was set in Chicago.
Night Beat.
Yeah.
Yes, that was Frank Lovejoy.
Frank Lovejoy. Frank Lovejoy was I loved Frank Lovejoy, and I thought he would be a great actor. He did a movie with I can't remember who he did movies with. He only did like 2 or 3 movies, and he died of cancer. Frank Lovejoy died.
The one movie that I like he did the most, which was I Was a Communist for the FBI.
I was a communist for the FBI. And I was a communist, and he did something with my mind's gone. But okay. yeah, that Civic.
The one great thing about what radio does, and OTR, old time radio, does, it's the power of storytelling.
Yep.
And that's why radio is so great, because in radio you have to use your imagination in order to get things working. I mean, television, yes, is immediate. Television's okay. Movies are okay. That's immediate. But radio forces you to use your mind.
I want somebody to tell me a story. I want somebody to tell me a story, and I love books on tape when they're well done, and I love the way that a radio program could put together a story. Talk to me, show me a story, tell me a story. You have a Tuesday night. In fact, you got a show tomorrow night right here on Facebook Live.
Right.
It's the quarter hour with Sid Yiddish, and it lasts about 40 minutes or so.
It can run anywhere from 28 to 45 minutes. I call it the quarter hour because there were programs back in the day, in the golden age of radio, which were called quarter-hour programs. So that's why I chose just to call it the quarter hour. Because I think when I do things, it's OTR style. Kind of like with the band, the band, even though we're not taken very seriously, the band I styled after big band, big bands, and there are big bands and big bands doing radio, which is why I like working so much, because people are forced to hear what I have to say, hear the music, hear whatever you have to hear, forced to use their imagination. So you have to kind of imagine if you hear something like a dog barking while somebody's screaming or squonking or something, well, that's like.
What is multi-culti? Wesley said you had
multi-culti? Multi-culti?
Uh-huh.
Well, multi-culti was kind of like a underground community center that I hung out at between 2010 to about its closure, which was I think it was 2014. I did a lot of shows there. Like we did a lot of experimental things over there too. That's where the radio station started, was at Multiculti. There's actually I have a funny story about Multiculti. It's one of those inside kind of things. But 6 months before the was it the G Summit that was here in 2012?
Yeah, the G8 Summit.
G8 Summit, yeah. So I was hanging out at Multiculti the 16th, December 16th, the night before we held my 50th birthday party. We were having like a Sid Yiddish retrospect at age 50.
Okay.
Where I invited artists to come in and interpret my poems into music or whatever they were going to do.
We'll do it at 75 too.
No, we're doing it at 60 as well.
Okay.
But anyway, so there were three of us there, and we're just hanging out, just chilling like we usually do. And then I heard the doorbell ring, and I said, I'll go get it. And so I get to the door, and I look out the slit, and it's not one cop, not two cops, not three cops, but there were 6 cops standing outside the door. And they just were checking places like this to see if they had insurance, because they were shutting people down left and right. That was part of Rahm Emanuel's plan to shut organizations like them down. But what I was told later, because I left just about that point, is they let the cops in, I left. And what I discovered later was that one of the cops had actually asked, well, do you have are you putting together something tomorrow night with a guy by the name of a guy by the name of Poet Monk, which is what my username is on YouTube. And and they said, yeah, and I felt really blessed that the cops were looking me up. It was a very
they were
very
spying on you.
Yeah, it's great. It's a badge of honor. It's still a badge of honor.
You just mentioned it was an experiment. Everything you do a lot of stuff that's on the cutting edge, on the edge of cutting, let's call it, and pushing envelopes all the time. Is everything an experiment? Are you still experimenting, or how do you think your craft's going to change in the future?
I think it's, as they told me in grad school, it's a process.
Okay.
Everything is ever evolving. I'm very spontaneous when I want to be. On stage, I do a lot of improvisation. Free of the moment, free movement is what I do. So I do not know what I'm going to do up until the point of maybe 10 minutes before I go and perform. I mean, I'll have a list out, but I kind of fly away from the list, and sometimes I just abandon it and I just do something else.
But you don't always. I mean, sometimes you have a really focused performance too. There's a versatility there.
I think it just depends on how I feel. It really, I used to do very structured things, which I hate it being inside that box all the time. So just something snapped within me, and Dave, it used to be called. People would say that I used to shock people. That was my point. I was shocking people. I heard that from many sources when I was there. They were thinking I was pushing it too much, and people don't like being pushed. That's for sure.
I don't think I have seen you shock people. Okay, but it's you've I think you've matured and you don't push it, enough to drive people. Oh, I like this visual. You don't push it enough to drive people away.
Yeah, well, we say that about the band, though. We said that the band is a crowd controller.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead.
I mean, but I don't see you pushing as many audiences away. I mean, you used to really push that envelope, and now you have like almost some set pieces that you keep under a strict control. I think it's just a maturity kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too.
But this is Mr. Sid Yiddish. This is Puddin'head Press Live. We're talking to Sid Yiddish. He's a Chicago poet, performer, actor. I'm going to ask him about his acting in a minute or so. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. So yeah, I don't see you. I see, less pushing it over the edge than you used to. You bring the audience up to their own edges a lot of times now, especially with the band. I mean, there's some really talented musicians on there, and they're playing real music.
Yeah,
okay.
Well,
a lot of it's real music.
Yeah, it is, but the band is controlled in that way by my form of conducting, which is using physical gestures. I have 75 plus physical gestures that I use when I conduct the band. Mm-hmm. So that's improvisation.
Well,
and it could sound like anything, anytime, but it usually every particular composition changes, especially the instructional ones.
I wanted to ask you, and I told the audience already, but I didn't tell you, that I want to ask you about your acting.
Okay.
You seem to enjoy acting.
I do, yeah.
What were your big acting accomplishments, and like what are you most proud of, and where do you see that going to?
Well, probably the biggest one. Well, the biggest accomplishments I've had. I don't know. I guess when I was opposite William H. Macy in Shameless.
Yep.
That thing took off like a rocket. From what I heard,
it was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was. I remember what it was like to do that. And actually, he was a really nice guy, and he plays the ukulele, and we actually sang a tune on the way to the shoot. We sang "Making Whoopee."
Okay.
And we talked a lot about ukulele playing and collecting of ukulele music and things, because I collect sheet music as well, and have a lot from the 1920s and the 10s. It says for ukulele, so
I'm sure,
a small banjo or something like that. But
I'm sure most of the people watching know that Shameless is a cable TV program that's put on in Chicago about a large family, large typical Chicago family, and the trials and tribulations that they go through.
No, it's more like a white trash family from the
Okay.
South. That's what it's like. It's Frank Gallagher is the character who I was with, and it's actually shot in the Woodlawn neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I did that show. I did that one particular. That's for all you diehards out there. That's season 6, episode 1. It's about midway in the program, and when Frank is seeking religion, because his girlfriend had just died. I forget her name, but she had just died, like the season before.
She's a Chicago actress.
Well, they do the exterior shots here, and the interior is done in L.A. So that one, I think I'd be most proud of. The Jinglin' video I did with Ludacris is another one.
You did a video with Ludacris.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that one's I went to Atlanta for that, and that was a wild time too. That was I couch surfed for that one. I slept one night in the airport, and I think I slept a couple nights at somebody's place in Atlanta, and I came back home and did the gig. That was like a 16-hour shoot, but that was fun. I played a Hasidic rabbi in that one.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly I play rabbis or character actors or vagrants or clergy or something
TMZ.
like
Were you playing a character on TMZ?
No, definitely not. I was a social commentator who tried to be funny, and they don't like funny people on TMZ. They just want you to tell your opinions. So, but I try to make it funny, comedic, I guess you'd say.
Mm-hmm. I remember they kept on picking on the hat.
Yeah, they didn't like the hat. They told me to drop the hat by the second one. So,
really?
Because they were focused more on the hat than me. I guess they didn't want to be more. I don't know. I'm not sure why. But Harvey, by the third one, gave me a T-shirt. It was great. I have a TMZ T-shirt because of that.
I remember seeing you and being with you the night that you. I don't know if they showed your America's Got Talent thing on TV, or there was results from the America's Got Talent on the TV. But you were on America's Got Talent too.
Yes, I was. That was they broadcasted June 8th of 2011. I was at Phyllis's for Elizabeth's Crazy Little Thing, and I remember asking the bartender to change the channel. They were watching the White Sox game. They didn't want to watch America's Got Talent. But I do remember that night, Dave, because I don't know if you remember it, but it was like humid out. It was about 100 degrees, and there was a thunderstorm. That's what I remember.
Was it Scott's Larry Scott's feature at Elizabeth's Crazy Little Thing?
Nope, it was mine.
It was your feature? Your feature that night?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, but you were on cloud nine. That's the most excited I've ever seen you. You were like a 2-year-old. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, it's not every day you do that. You know, as far as I was concerned, they didn't tell me anything that they were going to show me or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment, there were friends of mine that told me to come over and to take a look, you know, come watch with them, because they were told by a producer that they were going to be on, and of course they weren't on. But they said the moment I was on, the whole place went up. So that went up for grabs. That was great from what I heard. And my phone blew up, and the next day on Facebook I had like something like 63 notices and 25 friend requests. You know, so it was. I knew from being on America's Got Talent, things were not going to be the same after that. I knew that.
Yeah. Let's try to go back in time a little bit. Okay. Here's Sid Yiddish, high school student. Were you performing and doing creative, literary, theater kind of stuff in high school?
No. I was mostly using my imagination. I was making tapes, and I was pretending a lot. I was pretending I was a broadcaster. I was writing poetry. I was just I wasn't doing a lot. I really wasn't doing a lot.
There was nothing on. There was nothing. Let's call it on stage.
No, it was all in my imagination.
Okay.
I didn't really start performing until the late. No, actually, other than radio, in 1980, or 81, 82 at Lincoln, I I wasn't doing much. In '85, there's some audio of me reading at a Mardi Gras um, gathering at Western Illinois University in Macomb.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, one thing your audience should know, and it's a good thing that I did all this, I used to tape myself a lot, so I've got this huge archive of all this pre-recorded stuff from like the late 70s onward, of everything I've done, including now it's film. Now it's all film or video. But I didn't really start doing anything till about the late 80s at No Exit on Glenwood in Chicago, when that existed over there, the In One Ear series. And then in '89, I got my first feature at Cafe de Falco.
Okay.
I think it was a substitute thing. Somebody was not there, and then of course they said, "Hey, you want to feature?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And that was it. And then I did a lot of open mics all around the area, and did the Green Mill a few times.
Never as a feature, though.
No, well, actually, that's not true. In 2007, 2008, I was featured at the Green Mill.
Wow.
First time was with Michael Board,
Mm-hmm.
and we did the first ever and probably the only ever baseball poetry slam at the Green Mill. It was the Bardball team, which was James Garner, the poet, not the actor.
Okay.
Stu Shea and me, and that was versus Mark Smith and I can't remember his name. Can't remember the guy's name.
You didn't slam very much, though, did you?
No, I didn't. But that night I was on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the one guy who did get to see me, who's watching right now, is Wes Hine. Hey, Wes, do you remember that night? You must. And then 2008, the next year, my band, $2 Cockroach, featured there.
$2 Cockroach.
Yeah.
Okay. Baseball. You told me something's happening next Friday.
Yeah, well, that's not baseball.
Not happening next Friday. There's an anniversary next Friday. Next Friday is your mother's birthday.
Yes.
About 2 years ago, I featured you at the Gallery Cabaret in Chicago. This is Sid Yiddish. He's a Chicago performance artist, poet, actor, etc., multidisciplinary artist. And this is Puddin'head Press Live. Thanks for tuning in. And you know, I do something at the Gallery Cabaret. Used to do something at the Gallery Cabaret. I don't know if I'm going to in the future or not. But we used to have a Dead Poets thing, and Sid's mother had died. And it winds up that Sid's mother was a poet, a published poet. And did your parents have an influence on you as a performance artist, as a writer? Was your house full of books? What kind of influence might have came from your parents from that?
There was a house full of books, of course, but no, it wasn't like that. It wasn't really like that. I think it just really came out on my own. Mm-hmm. Mom was definitely an influence on my life. You know, we were pretty close, pretty tight. But Mom didn't start writing till age 72, really, because she was a teacher most of her life.
Okay.
She was in special ed.
So she started writing after the turn of the century?
Age 72, not 1972.
Okay. Age 72, she would have been in the 90s or after 9/11?
Well, let me think about this. Age 72. Yeah, it would have been after 9/11.
Okay. Well, so it was this century. Well, in honor of your mother, what was her name?
Sheila.
Sheila?
Sheila Bernstein.
Okay.
Sheila.
Okay. In honor of Sheila, will you read one of her poems? You have one of her poems you could read?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. This is Sid's mother, Sheila. My mother, I don't know if my mother ever wrote any poems, but this is Sid's mother, Sheila. She died 2, 3 years ago, and it was a really kind of solemn occasion when he read a whole bunch of her poetry at the Gallery Cabaret that night. And you know, let's I want Sid to share his mother with us, because like I said before, like with Lee Robin, I don't want to see Chicago poets disappear, and she was a Chicago poet, so I'd like to hear her work. Um,
So, so this one, so let me set it up a little bit for you, just so you understand. So, Mom and I wrote together on two projects. There was one called Liverpool 800, which was the birth of Liverpool, England. It was the 800th anniversary of the birth.
uh-huh.
So there was a website that was set up for that, and I told her about it. And so Mom never really had a computer, even close to the end of her life, which she actually wanted one. And I had asked her, well, why do you want a computer? She said, well, probably go to YouTube and get addicted like you do. So so she didn't have a computer. So every day that I would talk to her and she'd write a poem, I would transcribe the poem over the phone, and then I would submit it.
Mm-hmm.
And and eventually, from the Liverpool 800 project, I published a chapbook of our poems together called Our Love for Liverpool, which was, I believe, in 2007. I was, I want to say it was like eight or nine poems a piece of us, I think. 8 to 12, I think, a piece of our poems. So this one's called, one of those from those, this is called The Working Class Lament. It's brush me teeth, straighten up me tie, have a bit of breakfast and kiss the wife goodbye. But let me tell you, mate, the life I'm living is nothing but a lie. Why, it's scouse, of course, that makes me the man I am. The 9 to 5, I don't give a tinker's damn. It's down with me chums at the pub that I love. Sure, it's the chips and the ale that I crave. But me mum, she told me, you're not a bum. You're an Englishman, not some scum. We're not common folk. We come and go as others. Then it's drag yourself up from the gutter and don't be behaving like your brother. So it's brush me teeth, straighten up me tie, have a bit of breakfast, and off to the pub I fly. Sorry, Mum.
Wow,
That's it.
I wish my mother wrote some poetry. Um,
Well,
it must be a very precious thing to still have that from her. Still have her soul in her poetry, because we kind of put our soul into our poetry. Um,
yeah, yeah. She always wrote from the heart. You know, I mean, the great thing about Mom was that she, like the way we would go to the internet to look things up, she would go to her set of Encyclopedia Britannicas, probably from like, I don't know, either, I know they had a set from 1961, and they also had a set from 2000, I think. So she would go and look in the encyclopedia and come up with this.
my mother still goes to her 1960 Encyclopedia Americana. During the pandemic kind of stuff, she was teaching my nephew all about the presidents from 1960 Encyclopedia Americana. You went to a KKK rally undercover as a reporter.
Yeah. Oh, you knew that? Wow, that's amazing.
People are reporting secrets about you.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we have lots more secrets about you. But you know what?
man, boy, I can't wait.
You can't hide. You can never hide. Anyways,
That's true.
we 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 might have 15 minutes left or something. I set for what I set the Zoom feed for. But read us one of your pieces.
All right. So.
Okay. And I'm going to go grab another little piece of wine while you're reading. So.
All right. So actually, this is a piece about my mom. This is what I wrote in the last couple of days before she died, actually. And this one's actually called Lost in Translation. Strangely queer, the smashing lumber. Inside my slumber, enveloping, closing, embracing my worst nightmare. Oh, wispy hum in the night sky, I look to the west, the stars wither and die. Oh, wispy hum in the night sky, I look to the west, the stars wither and die. In pieces they fall, my heart's tiny space. I look to the east, the terror etched in my face. Many moons she is passing, passing through, stopping before me, waving like gold brown wheat, blowing inside glowing light gates. When doors open, they creak. When doors shut, they slam. Oh, oh, mother, my sky, I become you. Oh, mother, my sky, I become you. I am the flower you pick. I am the grass that grows. I am the songbird that sings at the top of his throat at 3:56 a.m., while it is nearly 2 a.m. where you are. But nobody knows when time stops, when the clock stops ticking, when the second hand is silently still, when the sun meets the meadow and your shadow covers the landscape like a checkered picnic blanket atop the hill. Conscious becomes tale. I am on the side of history that cradles you dearly in my brain, acutely aware of words I emit. I know laughter is in the state of it, waiting for you to cross the street, holding my hand you never let go. I am the poet you raised, rightfully so. I have worn the shoes you are now standing in. I am so lost, yet so found. In translation.
Tell us about your Tuesday night show.
All right.
It's tomorrow night
Tuesday
on
night
Facebook.
show. Yes, it is. It is. Well, but yes. My Tuesday night show it'll be on week 13, and so primarily it's your basic poetry show. I do a few shout-outs, hello, hi, that kind of thing, and see how everybody's doing. Then I read poetry, and it's mostly poets of people I like, friends or not, and lately I've been doing a couple LA poets and some Emily Dickinson, and then I usually read a bedtime story. And the bedtime story could be anything that I find. Most recently, I read a book called Anti-Racist Baby, which was pretty funny, actually. But it was really good. It was written really well. And I get most of my books, storybooks, from free libraries, the little free libraries that are around my neighborhood. So,
I remember Uncle Bunny.
Oh yeah, Uncle Bunny. That was a Disney book. That is one of my that is a favorite book of mine because it's Uncle Bunny. And I like rabbits.
That's one of your favorite books. Who has influenced you? Who has influenced your performance style? Who has influenced you as a poet? I mean, I know it's a hard question.
No, it's not actually. The ones that I always look to are Orson Welles, Woody Guthrie, the Beatles, of course, Jack Kerouac, Emily Dickinson,
and me.
Well, I'm about. Oh, hang on now. Don't rush to judgment here. Actually, I'm really influenced by Wes Hine, who his work I love dearly. He's a good boy. He's a good lad, and he writes well. He's got everything connected pretty well. But I mostly like local poets, countless people that I meet in my travels. Crows is another one. Crows. I'm influenced by crows as well.
I remember I featured you at the Milk Pail Days out in East Dundee, and you did your famous crow poem out there. And that was 1995 or something.
Yeah, it's when I stood on the chair and cawed. Is that right?
When you stood on the chair and cawed. they promised us a huge audience, and there was like 5 people there to hear you caw.
Yeah, that's okay. The 5 people probably scarred him for life. That's all right.
Yeah, if you can influence people, if you can't influence, if you can't like teach them, scar them. That's the Chicago teachers union motto I heard.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Anyways, give us another one of your pieces. Do you have another one for us?
Yes, absolutely. I've got this one, which was just published in. It's part of an online gallery at Agitator Gallery. I just had 2 poems published, and this is one of them. And this is about the current pandemic, and it's called Short Season. I just saw time creep back, crawling on all fours, trying to fade to black, yet it couldn't. Pandemic, slandemic, smashdemic straight into our world. No one asked for this, and yet it's still here. Comparable to a terrible baseball season that refused to end. Comparable to a guy who badmouths a team like an armchair critic who never bends, just bitching and bitching and bitching. It's enough to make men break, snap in two, question every belief they ever knew. A time of steady that's never ready and keeps rolling back to the stack that stands tall before it teeters over. No 4-leaf clover won't save us now. No demonstration, no shocking damnation will stop the escalation of doom marked in place. There is no mend. The end of the end, as we know, the being of the end, has come home to settle in for a long spell of deathbed symphonic, strengthening, straightening, sweetening the sweep. That of what others can't accept is honestly the end.
I don't know if you're supposed to clap when you're in a Zoom thing or an online thing anymore or not. Haven't figured it out. Well, Christine Swanberg is just entered her 70s, let's put it that way. And she has become the poet laureate of Rockford. And she had discussed with me, it's like, well, what's next? Because I wanted to submit her to the poet laureate of Illinois, because we don't have a poet laureate in Illinois right now. And I'm trying to choose one. And she's like, well, no, I don't know what's next. And then she won the poet laureate, and she said, well, I'm going to embrace this now. This is something that I feel like I should be doing, and I feel like this is a culmination of sorts. I'm dedicated to Rockford. I've always been in Rockford. So this wound up, even though she didn't know it, it wound up being a goal to be the poet laureate of Rockford. And I'm like I said, I'm really proud of her. What do you think would be the culmination of a Sid Yiddish career, or what do you think Sid Yiddish's career what would be the pinnacle kind of events for Sid Yiddish's career? I know that's a really hard question, but I really think I got another hard question for you after this.
I love hard questions. I absolutely love hard
questions.
But
this one's a harder question than what I'm going to ask you in a second. But what do you think Sid Yiddish is going towards? What's the ring? What's the brass ring?
I don't look at things like brass rings. I just look pretty much whatever happens. That's the beauty about the future. I always learned how to, as a phrase I live by, expect the unexpected, you'll be rewarded handily.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I never know what's going to happen from one minute to the next, it's like when I used to go to New York all the time, the way I like to explain it is, one day I'd go out from where I was staying, I'd go to the left, and I'd find my adventure.
Okay.
Or I'd go to the right, and I'd find my adventure. Every day for me is an adventure. I don't know what's going to happen next. I never know what's... And when I do things like this, Dave, or like TMZ, for example, like... when I did TMZ, it got me a gig hosting the Cigar Box Guitar Festival.
I remember that.
Yes, and then I did it in 2019 as well. I took the band there and played, and as a result, in 2018, I bought a cigar box guitar, which I'm pretty good at for a one-stringed guitar.
Uh-huh.
So I honestly, I don't know what's going to happen. The one thing that I also learned from America's Got Talent is before we went on stage and we did all our sort of stuff. What they told, what we had the pep talk by the show's lawyers, and they read us the rules and all that stuff. They said, well, you may not make it, but your careers are going to change for life, whatever that means to you. So, to me, this is sort of what I've been doing, is performing and acting, and I like doing a lot of different things, as you well know. I don't know what's going to be. I would like to teach, I suppose,
Wow.
my performance style. That's something I would like to do, and I've done workshops before.
Mm-hmm.
Haiku, throat singing. I'm actually just started teaching trial runs of Zumba and laughing yoga. So it's just, I like to be out there in the middle of nowhere, doing what I feel I can do best.
So some people ask me, oh, Dave, what do you do? Well, I'm an adventurer. Okay. I feel like I'm an adventurer, and I look at your pictures on Facebook, and you're like, Sid Yiddish 2015, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And you're there in front of a giant marshmallow thing or something.
That was the Noise Fest. I went to Tulsa.
Oh, really? Okay. I was just making up Tulsa off the top of my head, but you've been to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you had an adventure in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I did, and actually I had a pen pal in the 80s from Tulsa, Oklahoma as well.
I mean, but that's the thing. Sid Yiddish is here's Sid Yiddish in Charlotte, North Dakota. I don't know if there is a Charlotte, North Dakota. Here's Sid Yiddish in the Badlands.
I've passed through it on the train. I'm certain.
Yeah, but
you go west.
But I mean, you do this. You do a lot of adventuring. So the future of Sid Yiddish is still adventuring.
Yeah, for the moment, until something greater comes along. There's a few things I'd like, and they're starting to come into play, which is good.
So there are greater things coming up. There's stuff coming up next weekend. You're going to be out of town.
Yeah, I'm going to your namesake, Davenport, Iowa.
Davenport.
Yes, nothing ever happened in Davenport except maybe the Mississippi floods a bit. So
I was gonna go back to Iowa next weekend, but I'm gonna be at the Highland Park Christian Science Reading Room next Saturday, so I'm not gonna make it.
Well, actually,
the
event, you should come out because it's on a Friday night. You just drive right back.
Nope, I'll pass out.
Do what I do. Just
I have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning tomorrow.
Yeah. So that event actually it's called Mead-O-Ween, MEAD Oween 2020 at Bootleg Hill Honey Meads. That's where it's at.
Are you gonna?
That's on October 30th. That's actually my mother's birthday.
Uh-huh. Are you gonna stay out? Are you gonna stay overnight in Davenport?
Yeah, I'll be there for a couple nights.
Okay. What are the rest of your plans for Davenport?
Just seeing the town, maybe go take a swim in the Mississippi, and I don't know.
Have you ever swum in the Mississippi?
No, but this will be my first time.
Okay. I mean, everybody should do stuff in their lives, like swim in the Mississippi, climb across a glacier, see a buffalo in the wild. I mean, that's adventure.
Well, sure. Or see a deer in the meadow, or go see a deer in the middle of the forest with antlers, No, I mean it seriously. You should do something like that, or something simple. Just you should learn to experience life, whatever life means to you. It's really important. It's not just about the 100 selfies that you take on your camera and post all 500 of them on Facebook or Instagram. It's really about the experience itself. That's what adventure is to me, and I crave it a lot more than you think. I mean, there is a pandemic on right now, I know, but believe me, I'm still having my adventures.
The pandemic is an adventure.
That's for sure.
I mean,
Well, I know.
we probably have 5 minutes left. Probably would have. I should have reserved a little bit more time. We haven't got a notice yet, but anything else you want
All
to
right,
say to the general public? We have
okay. Well,
we have
yes,
probably
I want to
20
plug. I
people
would like to.
watching us right now.
Oh, 20. That's amazing. That's more than any of my shows ever get. Yeah, I would like to plug my Henchman's new album coming out early winter 2021. New studio album. It is called Until Further Notice, Every Day Feels Like Sunday. And artwork is being done by Bruce Shackelford out of Philadelphia. She's a great artist. Also on the way, there is Henchman and Printed Soap. That is coming soon. No, I'm not kidding. It really
I
is
know.
coming. It is really.
What does it look like?
It looks like a chunky bar. You ever remember chunky bars, Dave?
Yeah. But what is this?
And if people,
does it have henchmen on it, or does it have what does it have?
Yes, it's got the henchman. It's got the henchman logo. It kind of looks like this. If people would like to write me, if they don't have one, they can send me a Sazy and a couple of bucks. I will send them this. This is a magnet. This is a henchman magnet. That's what the logo looks like.
Uh-huh.
I will send them a henchman magnet and a, let's see, what do I have here? The henchman pin, which is this, okay? And that is the henchman, oops, I'll do it that way, the henchman pin. So they send me a couple bucks and a Sacy's to Sid Yiddish, P.L. Box 5008, Evanston, Illinois, 60204-5008, USA.
But what's your email address?
Oh, it is sid.yiddish@gmail.com.
How come there's not a is there a Sid Yiddish website?
I've been working on it forever, but I like the idea of being Googled. You have to change your website all the time. It's like, why do that when everybody else can do it for you? I'm very Googleable, Dave.
Okay.
It's a thing.
I know you got a lot of stuff on archive.com. Do you got a YouTube channel?
Yes, I do. Just look up Sid Yiddish. YouTube.com/user/poetmonk. Also, if you want to see the documentary that was done on me, go to Vimeo and look up Sid Yiddish, and you'll find the documentary just called Sid Yiddish.
Okay.
You'll find out more than you might bargain for. Might have bargained for.
You mean there's stuff about you that we really don't want to know?
Well, let's put it this way. Here's something intriguing. Go watch it and look, and be sure to look for the high school reunion scene.
Okay. Now I'm scared.
I'm not, and I lived through it.
Anyway, so you're going to be next Friday. You're going to be next Friday. You're going to be out in the Quad Cities.
No, this Friday, which is October 30th.
Oh, that's what I meant. I don't know what the difference between this Friday and next Friday is.
Next Friday is
the next Friday
November.
coming up, October 30th. You're going to be out in the
30th,
Quad Cities. So Tina, if you're watching, I don't know if you're watching, Tina. Go see Sid Yiddish. Tina and John are out there, and Tony's out hunting. Tony's out killing animals this weekend. So
Excellent. But I'd love to go with them.
Did you ever kill an animal?
Well,
I can't.
no.
I can't picture you hunting.
No, but I think that I do have some. I have an orange camouflage hat, and I've got some gear and stuff like that.
Do you fish?
I do, yeah, and actually, I've got scars to prove it. Yeah, I do fish.
When was the last time you went fishing?
Denmark is the best place to fish in the world. The waters are so clean, you can see your reflection in them.
Really?
Yes, really.
I
They're that clean.
I like the fact that you've been all over the place. How many states haven't you been to?
Probably about half of them.
Okay.
I mean, I go through a lot on the train, so when I take Amtrak.
Okay, it's been you've added up to a great resume of performances and stuff that you've done. It's something to be proud of.
Thank you.
Anyways, hopefully we'll all be world famous one of these days. Anyways, I need to get to bed pretty soon, and you made me drink too much.
Well, Dave,
what?
you just gotta stop. Just drink grape juice instead. It's better for your lungs.
It is?
Absolutely.
I thought red wine was good for you.
Well, if you want it, but it tastes sour to me. It's like beer. It tastes sour.
Okay.
Flat.
Anyways, I'm gonna kick you offline.
All right.
And thank you for this interview. It was did you have fun? I had fun.
Yeah, I had fun. Of course I have fun. I have fun doing everything I do.
It's the world's an adventure. Anyways, I'm going to kick you off.
That's right.
And I will see you soon. We got to take that picture together. And I'm not going to be out to the Quad Cities.
Okay.
But if you're there like 3 weeks from now, I might be out there.
Maybe. Hey, folks, peace and love. Peace and love.
We'll talk to you later, sir.
All right. Good night, Dave. Goodbye, everybody.
Good night, sir.
Night.
That was Mr. Sid Yiddish, Chicago performance artist, poet, actor, publisher of Cops Hate Street, TMZ commentator, a shameless actor. He's been all over the place. He's a Denmark guy, and he's been doing all kind of stuff out in other countries and all over the place. And that was a fun interview, and I got to find out a little bit more about what makes Sid Yiddish tick. I still don't know what makes Sid Yiddish tick, but I found out a little bit more about what makes him tick, and I hope you did too. And I'm glad you guys shared the night with me, and shared other nights with me. So I'm glad you guys were here. Thanks a lot. I'm sorry for the very strange opening. I had some tech problems, so I had to throw something together at the last minute. And so I threw that together, and I have no idea what it was. People really, I got to remind people that I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm making this all up as I go along, just like the rest of us, because none of us have lived through this before. And my engineer, I'm gonna start getting a stuffed animal as my engineer replacement and stuff like that. There's an election 8 days from now, and next Monday, I think I'm gonna do a show next Monday, and I'm just gonna feature Dave Getchick because I have a huge ego. So next Monday, I'm gonna read poetry and short stories for an hour or hour and a half, 2 hours next Monday, just to help you guys decompress. And I'm gonna be reading Lynn West's favorite poem, favorite short story, The Night Fat Boy Played Pool, because she doesn't think I treat Fat Boy nice enough. And I'm gonna do science fiction, fantasy, horror kind of stuff next Saturday at the Christian Science Reading Room up in Highland Park. and I'm going to read the short story that frightened Kathleen Schandelmeyer's kids about 10 years, 20, well, God, more than that, 15 years ago. They're old kids now. I still think that all the kids in the world are 10 years old. But thanks a lot for listening. We'll be back here next Monday at 7 p.m. because I could run a show at 7 p.m. now because the sun sets before then. So it's dark enough in the studio that I could get good visuals. And happy birthday, Al Makrovich. I have another announcement to make, and I can't find the piece of paper. Carol Anderson's doing better. She had her foot operation. And we recently lost a writer from the Naperville Writers Group. She died last Thursday, and her wake is tomorrow. And I only met her a couple times, so I don't know her very well. So I shouldn't even have mentioned it because I can't find it. Because I got terrible notes. Anyway, she was a nice lady. Mary Lynn from the Naperville Writers Group. So I can't remember her name. Anyways, everybody, thanks for watching. And I'm going to go and clean up my office a little bit and throw all these papers away. And I got clothes and stuff all over. And thanks for joining me in the foxhole tonight. And next weekend, next Monday, you're going to hear some Dave Getchick poetry and Dave Getchick short stories. I'm going to read The Night Flat Boy Played Pool. I'm going to read The Color of Eden, a short story I wrote. I might, if I don't do a live Facebook broadcast from the Christian Science Reading Room, I'm going to be doing that from 3 to 5 on Saturday. I'm going to broadcast somewhere between 3 and 5 on Saturday. And have a nice Halloween, everybody. Don't get too scared. It's a holiday, and the next day is a holy day. The next day is All Saints Day. So if you're really scared on Saturday nights, if you're really scared on Saturday afternoon, when you come to the Dave Getchick reading, and you're surrounded by darkness, and okay, I can't make it very dark in here. Anyways, you're surrounded by darkness. Okay, remember that the next day you could always go to church and feel better. God bless you guys, everybody. I'm gonna go and sleep. Good night, everybody.